Public Q&A presents AskReddit question. What is a truth you don't like accepting about yourself? My fear of being judged in a situation suppresses my genuine thoughts about things, and it can make me awkward, unfunny, or seem like I am trying way too hard. It's like all social interactions have some sort of performative aspect to them, and that thought is constantly broadcasted on some primal level of my consciousness. It causes me to cringe at myself before I even do anything. This typically occurs when I am around anyone I am uncomfortable with, and if I do forget about it, and something suddenly happens to draw my attention back to the meta of a given social situation, the feeling tends to double down. I am not even antisocial, which makes it worse because I genuinely like being around people, but it sabotages a large amount of interactions for me, and makes it hard to make friends. For me, it's like I am trying to view myself in third person versus first person. Instead of being present or in the moment of a social situation, I am trying to objectively observe myself and the interactions I have in the situation. I often come off awkward because I am so hyper-focused on how I want to be perceived that I can't be myself. Let me give you advice in the form of a quote by David Foster Wallace. You'll worry less about what people think about you when you realize how seldom they do. People are always stuck inside their own heads. Once you realize how little people are judging you because they only think about how others judge you similar to how you feel now, your eyes will open to a comfortable social world. I have the same issue as the commenter, and I am aware of this quote. Unfortunately, the way I interpret it is that yes, I understand no one is deliberating about me for long periods of time, but almost everyone who interacts with me would make a quick snap judgment and believe it unfalteringly. I am stuck in my head turning over and over whether they think I am stupid, but in reality they've decided I am stupid 5 minutes ago, and are judging someone else now. As someone with a similar thing, this is basically it. And it's worse because sometimes you try even harder to prove you're not that thing, which usually backfires and ends in more cringe. Oh my god, yes, I am so happy other people can relate to my social life. This is the exact cycle that prevents me from wanting to make new friends, meet anyone new, or be in the company of anyone I don't know well. I am even performative with the friends I already have. We are the same person. In my 33 years of life I can't seem to get past this. Here's hoping it happens by my 40s. I don't treat my body well, and I have a lot of crutches that will impact me later in life. Nicotine, caffeine, sedentary lifestyle, and pornography. What are you, the FBI? But yeah, pretty much, subtract porn, add some other silly weekend stuff. You also a habitual D&D player. WH-40K collector. I feel personally attacked. Do you like to watch movies about gladiators? You ever seen a grown man naked? Nicotine, Valium, Vicodin, marijuana, ecstasy, and alcohol. It's the feel-good hit of the summer. What about cocaine? And what are some of your bad habits? Reddit. I feel you, man. I have the exact same issue. Reaches for another beer, I'll drink to that. Cheers, mate. If you can off the booze, do it. Don't end up like me. It really isn't a place you want to be. I managed to escape that life, barely, but not without permanent liver damage. If I didn't stop, I would have died. I was working 12-hour days as line cook, and then gaming till 5 in morning, while killing 7+ tall boys and chain smoking. Been clean for 2 years and feel so much better. My coworker and friend on the same path didn't have to quit. He died 2 months ago. It's not all doom and gloom though. Doctors didn't say anything about porn. November last year, years of alcoholism finally caught up to me in the form of chronic liver failure. Originally, I was given only a few days to live. I wasn't aware of this because I was in a coma, so they informed my mother, with treatment that was extended to weeks, and then somehow months. My liver has managed with extensive treatment to heal to the point where I no longer look jaundiced as fuck, but realistically, I have about 7 YRS max. Not a great thing to jump into your head first thing in the morning. Especially at 35. People always go on about a healthy heart, but once your liver has had enough all over Red Rover really quick. Booze, the socially acceptable legal drug. I am constantly plagued with the idea of fearing failure, but I am then constantly being lazy, and then panic, when I see others moving ahead. Edit. Thanks for the comments, upvotes and awards, especially the comments. Holy shit, you are me. I graduated with my business degree last fall, but have yet to leave my full-time grocery store job because I am good at it, and it pays the bills. I'm so afraid I am going to suck at and fail any new job I get, and then lose my stable source of income, so I just keep putting off applying. I've been using the pandemic as an excuse, but in reality it's my anxiety about failure. Meanwhile, all my friends are making good money in real jobs while I am still stuck as a wage slave making $13 an hour. Interviewing is terrifying. If I haven't interviewed in a while, I start by applying to 1 or 2 companies I hate, and try different tactics. Just keep knocking on doors. Only one needs to open. See, for me, interviewing isn't the biggest fear. I am actually pretty good at interviews for the most part. The anxiety-inducing part for me is starting the job, and not being good enough at it, and getting fired. This happened with an internship I did in college. I did great in the interviews and set really high expectations, but I didn't live up to the hype, and didn't end up getting an offer at the end. I felt super defeated and useless, and I think that's why it's such a stress point for me. I am afraid of that happening again. Me with this when was I saw as an intern that others are also terrible at their jobs the higher the position is. Can't fail if you never actually try. Tap's head. Exactly, I say everybody that I can't find a job because I hear no answer from any companies. Truth is, I am scared and I don't even send my CV. When I talk to my friends and their successes I panic, quickly save some companies but don't apply, and I forget it. I am not funny. Can you make yourself laugh though? Yes, but I laugh too hard and only at my own jokes. Well, as an individual who writes and performs comedy screenplays, sketches, etc., I can tell you that you are funny. Comedy is incredibly subjective. But what I've learned over the years working for TV and film is that you should write and stay with what you know. If you can laugh about it yourself, there will be people out there who will laugh about it too. And if you can't find them, who gives a fuck? You think it's funny, right? I think I am hilarious. People find that funny. I can get emotional over stupid things. I try not to, and I recognize it happening, but feel out of control over it. In my experience, when I get emotional over things that seem trivial, it's because they are standing in for much bigger things. They're like the understudies for the real issues. This is what I try and do when I find myself being like that. Upset because that person didn't say you're welcome fast enough when I said thank you. Nah, you're not upset about that. You're upset because you feel like you did the right thing and weren't acknowledged. You don't like feeling unacknowledged because it makes you feel ignored. You don't like ignored because it makes you feel like you don't matter. And you hate feeling like you don't matter, because all the traumatic shit you've pushed through in life, a lot of it has been done to you by people showing you through their actions or abuse that you don't matter, and what you want or say is irrelevant. Does that make sense? These feelings may be triggered by something that seems really trivial, but a lot of the time, if you dig down asking yourself why does that matter, you find some core truths. And peace as well. Edit. My thanks for the awards. How kind. For those of you asking, okay, well, then what? I have a response to that below. But to give you the short summary. Positive self-talk to redirect your energy from feeding the trigger to feeding a more positive activity. Great advice, but how do I do that then, Agon? You ask. Here is what I posted in answer to another user. Good question. So the next thing I try to do is some positive self-talk. It helps me because after I recognize the trigger, I redirect the energy I am feeding it to something that is more productive. I worked on this short mantra with a therapist a few years ago. It's designed to contradict a lot of unhelpful thought patterns I have, namely that I am worthless, that I shouldn't expect nice things, and that I am unlovable. My mantra is I am worthwhile. I am worth looking after. I love myself. I say this sometimes quietly under my breath to myself several times in a row so I can short-circuit any patterns of thought that say yeah, that woman who didn't say you're welcome was right. You're a piece of shit and you don't deserve jack squat. Stop whining, etc., etc., etc. You can make your own mantra like this. And you're very welcome to use mine. When I started doing this, I repeated it to myself hundreds of times a day. Literally hundreds. I had to. I was in so many destructive patterns. Drinking, drugs, emotionally destructive, and very difficult to be around. I would say it to myself all the way on my walk from home to the bus stop. To every negative thought or welling up of emotion, when I noticed them during the day. All the way back from the bus stop home. And again 10 times before sleep. It really, really helped. Brilliantly put, and in an accessible way. My therapist refers to this as the trailhead, the point of beginning from which you can travel to find the deeper and deeper framework and history for simple hurt feelings, et.al. I think this is very common within people. If you feel overwhelmed sometimes, I can advise a really good book called Happy by Darren Brown. It's basically a self-help book that explains scientifically why self-help books are bullshit. It delves into the science of happiness, and looks at it with an angle of stoicism. Very fun read, and it leaves you. I feel like most self-help books have a section criticizing other self-help books. It's part of the formula, LOL. Did none of the self-help books help you? This book is different. I am lazy and have no discipline. If I have no structure, I just don't get anything done. I've had jobs with little to no supervision along with being 100% commission. I always failed. But if I have a job that I have scheduled tasks that must be met, I crush it. I always get my deadlines hit, and do great work, but if there are no real consequences I usually just don't do shit. I have a huge list of stuff that I want to do on my own time, but I have a really hard time motivating myself to do any of it. I'll do it tomorrow, for sure. For me it's due to ADHD. Got ADHD too, but it hurts because I have a massive schedule I put together to me to do work. I also take meds to help, and I still really have no motivation. I'd just rather play games and have fun. All the while I put off work. I think it's because I don't see the inherent benefits of doing the work. The benefits are too far down the road for me to see them, and want to work towards. It's disappointing, because I know that when people actually do work, they're hella focused and work quick. I have ADHD, sometimes I genuinely feel like it is ruining my life. I could write a PhD about lying in bed, if it wasn't for the fact that I am lazy. I would work all day, if it meant nothing got done. I'm a very overbearing person. I don't trust many people, I don't even like many people, but the few I do like, I find it very difficult to not try and involve myself in every part of their life, and get upset when they don't like that. I like to tell myself and them that it's because I care, and want the best for them, and for them to be happy, but I do understand how overbearing and annoying that can get. You sound a lot like someone I love deeply. She grew up with a judgmental narcissist mother, and as a result has a very anxious attachment style. It can present very much like you describe. It's so good that you are seeing these things in yourself, and recognizing that it's pushing friends away. Just from my experience, I would recommend studying codependency. Once you understand why you are doing things, you can begin to make different choices that may result in more fulfilling relationships. So much for your very helpful advice. The second I read the word codependency, my heart sank because I know that's me, but I will take time to research it better and better myself. Thank you for taking the time to respond. I truly appreciate it. Times to show love is to show restraint. If I read between the lines of your comment, I am leaning towards advising you to get out there and meet new people. Obviously, in the COVID time this can be a bit difficult, but starting online is a great way to do so. Trust is something that needs to come from two ways. If you, by default, don't trust a person, they will have a hard time returning the favor. Therefore, you have to ask yourself, where do these trust issues come from? Talk to a professional if you don't know or struggle to find out. They will be able to help you tackle the issue at its core. I am paralyzed with indecision and feel like I keep making panic moves. Edit. Wow, thank you for all the responses and awards. So many of you have provided advice that is thoughtful and kind. I've got 130 notifications, and I am trying to respond to most. Do you have any other tendencies towards anxiety? Honestly, I hadn't thought of it as anxiety. I do get stressed at times in social situations, but I have worked high-pressure jobs and been fine. Hey, you're not alone. I work as a 911 call receiver and dispatcher. Can be really high pressure, but I am good at it and can make quick decisions easily. But outside of work, I stand in aisles at the store stressing over which shampoo to buy, or I still get anxious thinking about and replaying conversations I've had in the past. Anxiety affects people differently. Just pay attention to yourself and learn your quirks. You'll find a way to get above it. I genuinely didn't know that this was anxiety, and wasn't like me being broken. Seeing a therapist for the first time, and filled out their paperwork, it listed things to mark off if you had them. She sat me down, looked at my paperwork and said, you marked that you don't have anxiety, but everything you've answered on this sheet is indicative of having it. I didn't even know my everyday thoughts and feelings were a part of anxiety. I had always thought it meant getting panic attacks and being paralyzed with fear. There is so much more to having anxiety though, it's definitely something worth getting checked out. Now that mine is under control with medication, I can totally tell the difference. Anxiety can present itself to you in different and unexpected ways. An individual working his whole life, dangling on the side of skyscrapers without issues, can get anxiety attacks from saying the wrong thing at a party. Do you understand what I mean? My advice to you is to talk to a professional if your indecisive nature is bothering you. Therapy is a very normal and healthy thing to do. These people can really help you. It's mostly career stuff that's for me frozen. I've been laid off 4 times in 5 years, and I can't keep getting jobs just to lose them. All the more reason to talk to a professional, my friend. This whole exchange has been so wholesome. I didn't realize it myself. Making decisions easily accounts for 75% of my anxiety in life. I have often wanted to try therapy, but I know even with insurance it can be very expensive out of pocket. Thanks for doing this and happy cake day. You sound like Chidi from The Good Place. I deeply relate to Chidi. So, nail on the head, my friend. Are you surprisingly ripped as well? No, but I am losing weight, so maybe in 6 months the answer will be yes. Can you give an example? I can naturally be mean if I don't think carefully before I speak. The fact that you are aware of this makes you so much better than a lot of other people who will go around and be mean without even realizing what they're doing. Recognition is the first step to improvement, and the fact that you're willing to improve makes you a better person. This is literally my cousin. He thinks it's funny to confront people with their insecurities and making bad jokes about them. A while back, I noticed that if you respond to this by calmly saying please don't bully people, some of them will go into hysterics, as if you've bullied them by bringing it up. If you don't respond or defend yourself, they'll get even more hysterical and wear themselves out. ETA. I am more specific to the behavior, whatever that is. So it might be something like, please stop making fun of so, and SOS shoes. Bullying is a very generic term, and they could easily miss what they did, and just take it as name-calling if you're not specific. I was called out by a friend group for my too mean jokes at one point. I can tell you that in the moment I did feel attacked, but then it stuck with me, and I thought on it and adjusted with that friend group. I felt attacked because it made me feel insecure in the group. My perception of our friendship was flipped on its head, and I was uncomfortable with the role I was playing vs who I thought I was. Once I took the comment away and realized that was actually really valuable feedback, I realized that I just needed to edit my depth of depraved joking with them because it wasn't appropriate in that friend culture like it was with other friend groups. Politely call people out. It'll hopefully help everyone in the long run even if they get but hurt int hat moment. What do you do to prevent this besides thinking before you speak? Sometimes I just respond quick with close friends so I am not sure if I am coming off in a jerk or cocky. Ick if it's the tone or what I say. If it's anything like my experience, then it's coming from a family that doesn't hold back comments. Then finally going out into the world and meeting people from families that sugarcoats things. 100%, but then you go out there and realize people are super sensitive, and you can do a lot of damage. Also being super mean to others is a sign that you are mean to yourself as well. It took a while to realize, so my focus now is to be kinder to myself first. I find it's partially cultural too since I've emigrated from my home country. People find me rude and sharp a lot, but I find a lot of people rude in their inability to be clear or have an honest conversation. I'd rather know where I stand. My wife and I both grew up in New Jersey with families that didn't hold back. We also both have that stereotypical Jersey attitude when it comes to shit talking. When we first moved to Belize, we were out one night playing pool with each other, having a great time and playfully shit-talking each other. I make a good shot, she calls me an asshole, silly stuff like that. After a while some of our new friends were looking a bit concerned and asked us if everything was okay, and if we're normally that mean to each other. Had to explain that we meant no ill will by any of it, and this is just how we talk sometimes. What do you mean by being mean? Saying some unnecessary critique or judgmental thought? Or you mean saying honest but well-intentioned things but without tact? For me, it's both. And my naturally sarcastic tone heavily implies I am being condescending too. I am not special or more talented than anyone else, I am literally more or less average. I guess it's not bad, I don't hate it, but doesn't mean I like it. That's at least 3 billion of us, I guess. And we all run Java. Sigh. You are, but I've met people who discovered hidden talents in their mid-20s and older. One of them was my dad, who learned how to cook after getting married at 26, discovered he actually loved it, and eventually did a 2-year international cuisine course. Everyone is average, better, or worse at certain things when compared to other people. This has just happened to me. I am 29 and discovered in the last few months that I love cooking, and am actually pretty good at it. Before that it was all takeouts, ramen and sauces from jars. The most difficult part of cooking is actually being in the grocery store, and knowing what to buy XD. What are some things you really enjoy doing? I really enjoy sitting on my ass doing nothing. Good answer. Since people are not numbers, you cannot average them. There is no average person, everyone is a bit better in some fields and a bit worse in others. It's just that some fields yield more money than others. I like this. Average people can do pretty well in life if they work hard. You're not intellectually subnormal, so that's pretty sweet. I either think too high of myself or not enough of myself, there is no in between. I do both at the same time. I am the world's most amazing piece of shit. Haha, my motto from now on. I can relate to this. I would see a really stupid thing someone does and think, how are retards like this alive? And then 5 minutes later, in a different context, I would say that I am a waste of space and worthless. I think these are both the same behavior, black and white thinking, something I also struggle with. It's just one of many inaccurate thought patterns that can impact your emotions and behaviors. I recommend looking up CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, or even just a worksheet on cognitive distortions. By challenging these thoughts, you can go a long way to feeling better and behaving more positively. I find that alternating between a God complex and debilitatingly low self-esteem helps me stay productive in my craft. I never get too cocky, and I never get depressed to the point it affects my work. This actually leads to really toxic behavior in most people who exhibit it. Simultaneously thinking you are better than others, but also thinking you are a piece of shit, leads a lot of people to treat others the way they feel they deserve to be treated. I am glad that it only affects your work. Boy, did that hit home. I give up very easily. I used to be a great student in school, not just with studies, but everything else as well, because I am a fast learner. But that didn't teach me the value of hard work, because everything came easy. And now, in everything I do, if I fail, I just give up. Edit. Thank you to everyone who replied. I am so glad I posted this, because I have gotten some great advice here, and the fact that I am not alone makes me feel a little better. Thank you. Also, thanks for all the awards. The only thing you have to ask yourself in these situations is, what is at stake? Is it worth trying again? Was it not worth it to start it in the first place? Sometimes losing big time is the lesson you need to value the little things in life. If you haven't experienced such things, my advice to you is to start reading a bit more into philosophy. Stoicism is a great place to start. Good luck, my friend. I am exactly the same. Also, I am really afraid of failure, so sometimes I feel overwhelmed before even trying something. Went into a law interview for fucking Oxford so cocky that I'd ace it, that I'd never bothered at a legal document before, because while I'd got bad grades before, it never really affected my opportunities, at least in terms of where I wanted to go. Suffice to say, I was immediately vibe checked, and while the second interview went better, I am not going to Oxford. I am certainly working harder at uni. I want a first and have learned my lesson. Disabilities. Too high functioning for any government assistance or aids, and too disabled for big corporates. I am a full-time senior software engineer. The fact that I can do this is the only reason why I am not homeless or on government assistance. One day, I won't be able to keep doing it. And if my concussion problems don't get better, that might even be this year. Anyhow, try small companies where they can be flexible. It can help a lot. There is a common saying amongst autistic people and people involved in their mental health care that the label high functioning is used to deny people both agency and assistance. Could not agree more. The gov agencies people will look at me and like, why you need help from us? You can explain to the employee nicely. I was denied disability benefits by an assessor who straight up lied multiple times in her report. It took me 2 years, but I fought them and went from scoring 0 points, i.e., no help, to the maximum allowed. The system is massively flawed, and the government see disabled people as burdens and do everything they can to deny us the help we need. The process of applying and fighting left me much worse off health-wise. Almost a year later, I am only just starting to recover a bit. Can't wait to go through it all again next spring. As to those people who assume it's really easy to just go on benefits, and that everyone on benefits is a scrounger, they are severely out of touch. I am below average intelligence. Everyone likes to think they're so smart because they can see inside their brains and see, with no interference, all their great and original ideas and thoughts. And I still think smart things sometimes. But in general, the majority of people I meet are substantially smarter than me. Not in terms of volume of knowledge or learned skills, just in that they are better at thinking through things logically, better at problem solving, and more reasonable. To be able to acknowledge your position like this is really one of the smartest things a person could say. Only a true intelligent individual can acknowledge other people's superiority. There are a few things to take into account here. You can't change your biological makeup, so there is no use in worrying about it. As I read your comment, it seems that you're talking about a very specific field of intelligence, i.e., logicality and problem solving, which means you have your own fields to be intelligent in. There is a reason for the fact that we have specific field professionals. We can't be an expert on everything. If you find your passion, then you find your true intelligence. Are you like some sort of PhD in psychology or something? 'Cause damn, all your advices are just bang on. Love you dude, and thank you for making Reddit a better place. In fact, I am not. I am just a guy having a bad day, that wanted to make other people feel better by sharing my experiences over the years. Which is in itself a selfish thing to do, because I get self-gratification from all the people saying I changed their lives, made them happy, or made them realize a beautiful part about themselves that they haven't seen before. So it is all of you I should be thanking. My observations, people who are generally better at problem solving have simply solved more problems, and have more experience at that type of problem. It takes a lot of effort compared to having someone solve it for you or just ignore it, but it does build on itself. This is anathema to our instant gratification culture, so it's hard to cultivate. You should also know that problem solving is mostly about Googling, identifying the problem, making mistakes, and recovering from being frustrated. Dude, you don't know how much pretending goes on everywhere. No one really knows what they are doing. The people you are talking about have surface knowledge on everything. You try to get in-depth knowledge for one thing and master it. I am not calling myself an idiot or anything. I have a tertiary degree. I'm just the sort of person who needs things explained to me in extra time, a little slow on the uptake, you know. I doubt my solid opinions and beliefs when other people challenge them. I worded this wrong. I didn't mean opinions, I basically meant things that are obviously right. Like my example down below, especially here on Reddit. When you get downvotes on something you truly believe, it's hard to know if you're wrong or they're wrong. Edit. For example, I was on subreddit Mercury. Mercury is like eBay. The sub is full of sellers bragging about how they complain and act so rude towards buyers. I made a post saying, why do sellers have to be so rude? I gave tips to people in the comments on how to be more patient and kind, and see things from a different point of view, etc. I got downvoted on every comment. People called me self-righteous. I spent all day being so confused as to why kindness and patience was being seen as bad. Who cares if I was looking a bit conceited? I wasn't though. It's better than treating customers like shit because you're bitter and grumpy. I was questioning whether or not I was in the wrong. I even convinced myself I was wrong. But that was a while ago, and I now know that I was right. Kindness and patience will never be wrong. I just made the mistake of disagreeing with the majority. This isn't a weakness, it is a wonderful strength. Just imagine how different the world would be if instead of clinging to firmly held beliefs, people actually listened to reason and changed their views when provided with properly supported evidence. Yes, life is a lot easier if you just know what you know and never have to doubt. And how do you know whether you are wrong or they are wrong? Examine the source of your beliefs and their beliefs. Logic and quality of evidence should carry the day, not appeals to authority, or common sense, or how many people believe it. Figuring it all out is a struggle worth having. I actively try to question my beliefs. I wouldn't call it a strength though. You can doubt yourself so much that you start to cripple your vision of your own self. Most of the times with human beings, their strengths are their weaknesses, and I think this is an example. Yes, it's good to self-reflect on your solid opinions and beliefs, but no, you can go too far in this, destroying every opinion and belief that is yours, and with that destroying your self-worth. If in that case of one already starts to doubt him or herself just because a few downvotes, then this strength has turned into a weakness imo because upvotes or downvotes mean nothing. Arguments mean something. Don't worry about it. The fact that you think that way means everyone has that. Let me give you a piece of advice in the form of a quote by David Foster Wallace. You'll worry less about what people think about you when you realize how seldom they people are trapped inside their own minds, thinking about themselves. So it's no use to worry about stuff like that. I am growing older. I still feel young, but I am in my 30s. That means 40s aren't too far away, and I know that this decade flew by fast. I am certain that the 40s will too, which mean 50s are also not too far away, then 60s etc. There's nothing I can do about it, but I do miss my 20s sometimes and I know I can't ever be that again. That is rough to have to accept. There's one thing that stuck with me from subreddit Ask Old People, and that was that no matter how old you get, you always feel young. What I've found, and apparently this is quite common, is that as I get older, I care less about what people think, and priorities change too. Core things matter more and everything else is insignificant. Filling your life with different activities, random local free things are great, slows down the time because there's more to remember. And hopefully Dr. Philly will come by with a better response. Your reply was perfect. Getting older indeed tends to get your care levels a bit lower because you start accepting the inevitable realities of life. Thank you for sharing your advice. 40s are great. 20s were fun, but frankly that's an establishing decade where you make a lot of life decisions. Sure, that's exciting, but it's also incredibly stressful and often disappointing. You have higher highs but lower lows. When you're 20-something you don't have the perspective or tools to navigate life that you do in your 30s, which were even better than 20s. A little maturity makes life easier. However, 40s are a decade of more experience and more maturity, and even the big bad life events are easier to handle emotionally, etc. You're a better version of the you from 20+ years ago. So you take your aging parent with stage 4 cancer to a doctor appointment, and it's not tragic, it's something you appreciate. You leave the house with a giant patch of calamine lotion on your face, and forget it's there because it doesn't fucking matter that some cute person or store clerk is going to notice. I wouldn't trade places with a 25 or even a 35-yo because that's always going to be part of me. I don't think of myself as a middle-aged person, I think of myself as a much better, nicer, relaxed me. I feel like the next decades will be even better. I have a serious or angry-looking facial expression by default, and I have to overcompensate by grinning or slightly smiling all the time so people don't think I am angry or upset. It's especially exhausting if you work in customer service, like me. Sometimes I feel like I should find work in a factory instead. That no matter how much I know I need to change, I'll never decide to make the discussion. What is something you want to change about yourself? Better sleep schedule, quit smoking, more consistent exercise, start reading my books more, the usual. Do it in parts, my friend. If you try to do everything at once, you'll fail every time. Set mini goals for yourself. And use a change of routine to stop an addiction. For instance, if you get a new job, stop smoking. It will be easier for you to quit, because you're tricking your brain out of your usual routines. I should clarify, sometimes I conquer myself for a while, but seem to eventually give up and lose interest in changing to the max. Definitely worth noting to set mini goals, I like that. I don't make meaningful friendships, can be friends with someone for years, and then they move, and within a day it's like they never existed for me. I am going to tell you a secret. That's the way most friendships are for most people. They are born of convenience, proximity, schedule alignment, same jobs or classes, after school clubs, etc., and are killed by inconvenience. Social media has given us the illusion of maintaining friendships across vast distances, but the truth is, you aren't a meaningful part of their life anymore, and neither are they to yours. You can talk to them online all day, but the next time you meet up it still might be like meeting a whole new person because they've had influences that you weren't there to meet, and they've done things they haven't told you, etc. And you're not the person they remember, not exactly, even if you mostly are. The friendship was between two people who don't really exist in the present, and under circumstances which certainly do not. Which is why brothers before hoes almost never works. Tie the knot with somebody who can be your best friend, and keep working at that, and hopefully you have a friend who will never move away. I'd recommend trying to find Meet UPS for things you like to do, but if you're in a rural area, I know that can be hard. There's also the fact, which people don't like to admit, that adults are a lot less willing to make friends than teenagers are. They're carrying around so much more baggage, and are less willing to compromise their comforts or beliefs in an attempt to fit in, so adults often come across as standoffish even when they want to be friendly or conversational. When it comes to clubs, especially if you're into nerdy things, I find often that they chase away people who are not exactly critical of the subject, but people who do not come into it with zeal. Still, it's worth making the attempt. You may never see these people outside of the club or activity, but it will keep the loneliness at bay and allow you to experience some different personalities and perspectives. I am a naturally quiet person even though I don't want to be, and people always say I am quiet, but I can't change. Also, when I have something to contribute to the conversation, people's eyes immediately fixate on me, which makes me anxious and more inclined to be quiet again. It's not my fault that I had a terrible life, but it's the only one I will ever have, and I often struggle to come to terms with the fact that I'll never get to say I had a healthy childhood, teenage years and early adulthood. I ended up being very damn fucked up, and I envy the people who had it good or at least decent. I'm fine now, but I lost it on things you go through just as a kid, and it's hard on me. Edit. I know people see this as an annoying Reddit trend, but thank you so much. I've been on Reddit for almost 2 years, and it's my first award. Feels like a hug, as I just wanted to share my experience, nothing more behind it. And now my first gold. I am flattered and very happy, and wish all of you a good life and a nice recovery. Fuck me, that's mine too. I constantly feel like I've been robbed of my childhood, the stupid things you can get up to, like climbing trees, going fishing, pillow forts, just having a loving family in general. I missed out on so much. It hurts badly when I am with my future in-laws. They love and support each other. No one is afraid to sit down and watch TV or go off on their own without asking permission, and you don't get screamed at and threatened for it afterwards. When visiting his aunt and uncle, how they fed us a warm dinner right away, and offered to take care of our laundry before the week-long leg of our journey. I was so overwhelmed by it all I had to hide away in the guest room we were staying in, and cried for a good 30 to 60 minutes, until my boyfriend came in thinking I was asleep, until he heard me sniffling. He gave them a story about how I was exhausted from the trip, and came to join me soon after. He understands that this trauma just doesn't exactly go away easily, and while it does get better, another thing is that the damage not having a proper childhood dies to your adult life is very deep. I wish I had a normal life more than anything. I wish I could have a dad to call and get some good life advice from. I wish I didn't have to parent my own mother. It's gotten better to the point where I've stopped denying the life I had, but I still need so much help. Hello friend, I feel you. I feel your pain. I grew up being bullied or beat. I also got beat at home. When I got to college, I was bullied again. It's difficult to even talk about because some people will just think, oh well, you're the problem, if it keeps happening, while completely forgetting shitty people exist. Lots of them. I try to tell myself I am or will be a better person because of it. I know it's difficult. I know people can be cruel. Just know what's important now is that you're a good person, and have the ability to feel, and give the empathy and compassion you never received. For anyone who is hurting out there, feel free to PM me. God bless, person with folded hands. Great of you to chip in, my friend. It sounds like you are at peace with the reality of your situation. That is incredibly brave. God, I relate so hard. Keep going, my friend. Heavy Blackheart life has many great pleasures to offer. I feel like us kids of trauma and lost potential are siblings who went through it together, and now we got to support one another because we're the only ones who get it. How debilitating it feels just to exist with the past we were born into. How much we lost. Mourning the person we could have been or the innocence lost. You will be one day exactly what you are. Just keep your head held high, kiss your fist, and touch the sky. Keep fighting today. I learned the end, and past the end you will be strong. All the words I've been receiving warm my heart, heavy black heart. I am in a much better place now, but one just wonders sometimes, right? Doesn't matter if you're in the best place you could have ever been, even if you've surpassed your peers, one can't help but wonder how it would have been if you had it differently, if you had a healthy life, if you made more friends, had more confidence, better opportunities, didn't go through extreme trauma you're still trying to fix. Sadly, we'll wonder forever, but the happier you get and the higher you climb, the less you wonder, and the less you care. I've got a bad temper and I am not alright, but I pretend to be for other people because I am tired of them asking me if I am alright. It's never bad to get professional help. It's better to talk to someone as a preventive measure before you hurt yourself or others. I need validation and to be told I am doing good. I never had any issues with it growing up, but it feels good now to know I am doing a good job, or the right thing, but I still feel ashamed for wanting to hear it so often. There's nothing wrong with wanting validation. It's important to understand this. There is no shame in it. However, what is important is where the validation comes from. It should come from you and you alone. Be happy with your work and be proud. It shouldn't matter if other people pat you on the back for it, or even tell you they hate it. It's your own feelings about it that matter. Work hard and be proud you did so accordingly, my friend. Taking time to reply everyone with the nicest answers is the most wholesome thing I've come across today. I hope you're doing well, and wish you nothing but the best. I can be a real asshole. Update. Hi everyone. I've been trying to react to all of your comments to give you advice and help you out. This is my way of giving back to those in need. However, the post is blowing up. I am getting about 20 notifications of new comments every minute. I can't really keep up with you guys. So let me say to all of you I can't reply to or haven't replied to, thank you so much for being honest and open here. Sometimes it's very hard to put your thoughts out there. I respect you all for doing so. Secondly, if you see a comment without a reply and you can give the person some solid advice, I would love for you to help the individual out. Let's show the world how strong Reddit's community actually is. I will keep on replying as fast as I can. Please have patience, you guys are all amazing. P.S. I hate to ask for upvotes, but I'd really love for people to see this particular comment quite early on in the thread so the people who don't get quick replies don't feel left out. If you don't want to upvote, which I understand, perhaps you could inform others that I have so many comments now, it's hard for me to reply to all of them. Update 2. Wow. I am speechless. Speechless to see how many amazing people on this website that are brave enough to share their stories with us. I respect you all greatly. I am speechless to see that so many of you decided to step in and help other people as well. To all of you I want to say thank you. I was having a bad day, and I felt like giving back to the world somehow. All of your nice messages are making me feel amazing, despite any issues I might have right now. It should be me thanking you. I love you guys. Feel free to DM me if you're feeling down, need some life advice, or if you want to ask me random stuff. I am happy to share my life experiences with you. I am somewhere on the spectrum. Always thought autism was a lot more severe, but somehow I have it. I am in the same boat, always found myself struggling. I found out recently as an adult after seeing doctors, and now I feel as though my life has been a lie, or that I have been lied to this whole time. I am still trying to accept it. Guess you could say I am struggling to accept it because at the same time, I feel like I can fight it like it's just another one of life's curveballs, but I feel like it's just a pointless battle with myself. Might be worth checking out the neurodiversity movement. There's much to be gained from getting to know and work with your brain, rather than fighting it. always thought autism was a lot more severe. I blame the media. I was diagnosed as a kid, and found it frustrating growing up how practically every autistic person in the media was either Rain Man or Rain Man Light. When people think of autism, I doubt they think of normal folk who might be just a tad awkward, or might have some trouble socializing. Well, there's nothing to worry about that. There are so many people on the spectrum who don't know they are. They are confused by other people's reactions to their behavior, and even worse, other people alienate them because they don't know about their condition. All I see in your comment is that you have clarity, which makes it understanding for both parties, and in the end, gives everyone peace of mind. I shit talk my friends way too much. I am actively trying to think before I speak now because I am so quick to judge them. If they're happy, why the hell do I care enough to talk behind their backs? I think you are already on the right path. You're acknowledging your own flaws. Now you just have to start being completely honest to yourself and understanding to others. You'll get there over time. No need to worry. It's so cool that you're already making your own steps to improve that mindset. Changing the subject in your brain like that eventually trains your brain not to focus on the negative. It's not that my physical appearance is unattractive. It's actually my personality. Well, the core of that lies within your own perception of yourself. To be able to acknowledge the fact that you dislike your personality tells me two things. 1. You're empathetic and not a psychopath. 2. You might have tendencies toward worrying how people think of you. Let me ask you, what exactly is it that you think people don't like about your personality? Hello, Dr. Philly. I am curious how to handle having tendencies towards worrying how people think of me. I try really hard to manage others' perceptions of me, and it occupies my thoughts a lot. Do you have any ideas or suggestions? Not up, however, there are many ways of going about it. Here are a few. Ignore what others have to say about you, live for yourself, and care only what you think. I go about it this way, and it helps me however things slip through. Listen to what people have to say, but realize what you think of yourself is the most important. Surround yourself with people who will perceive you positively, and are willing to let you know that. Distract yourself, make something else occupy your mind like a hobby. Each have their own problems. I can speak only for the first, and it works well for me, however it might not for you. It's important to be able to balance our perception of ourselves and others' perceptions of us. I believe you'll find what works for you. Stay safe, hydrate, and have a wonderful night or day. That I always have been, and likely always will be, the best friend's little brother, if that makes sense. Every friend I ever thought I had turned out to be my older brother's friend, but had to hang out with me if they wanted to hang out with him. Then I became an adult. And turned out all the new friends I made are actually my wife's friends, who tolerate me to hang out with her. Even feel like my wife married me for monetary support. Dumb move. I am broke as hell fiscally and physically, physical support, and to give her a child. TLDR, nobody really likes me for me, they tolerate me for what I can give them or give them access to. Don't be too hard on yourself. The fact that these guys chose to hang out with you when they could also just ignore, or even worse, bully you, is a positive fact. As for the wife part, many of us have gone into that street. It's a tough one to accept, but you have done so anyway. I respect that greatly. Not many people are able to see that fault. What's important for you now is to look forward, not backwards. What are your passions, hobbies, interests? Find people, clubs, forums, gatherings, websites, etc. where people with similar interests hang out and form a new circle of like-minded friends. More importantly, the fact that you say, "Nobody likes me for me," mostly tells me that you have a difficulty in liking yourself. Let's start with that. For you, I also advise to talk to a professional. I sense you need to come to peace with yourself first. Before you start accepting new people in your life, accept yourself in it first. That I am a little bitch that will rather whine about things than do something about it until the last moment. That I put others' mood down when I am not feeling well, that happens often feel bipolar man. That once everyone will leave me, and I will be left with the mess I made of myself. Will probably find someone else to blame then I guess. That I have no place in this world. What makes you think that? Not OC but mostly the environment. I don't think like people around me. My thoughts and beliefs can easily lead to my life being ruined, possibly jailed just because I am unaffiliated. I'm alright with gay people and support all their rights, but that would end my life here. The worst part is, I won't die now. I will have to go through the pain of it all before coming in terms with myself, alone, dead. I am too judgmental and critical of others. I hold myself to impossible standards, and then end up expecting others to live up to those standards too. My depression and anxiety are not going to go away, and I just need to learn how to live with it. My health did a nosedive a few years ago, and what I have is pretty rare. I went to the ER and they told me I was having a panic attack, and that nothing was wrong with me. I followed up with my doctor the next day, and he told me it was anxiety, and that nothing was wrong with me. I went through some form of that for a year or so. Over the course of that year I started to question myself. Did I have panic attacks and anxiety and hadn't noticed? Every symptom, pain, bad day, argument, etc. became something I'd analyze trying to determine if it was anxiety or not. I questioned everything to the point of being miserable. I went and saw allergists, ENTs and gastros, all telling me I was healthy. My doctor was pushing me towards cognitive behavioral therapy, and I was becoming worried that maybe I wasn't really sick. But I felt sick. Finally, I found a gastroenterologist who cared enough to run a ton of tests on me, and I was diagnosed with achalasia. The muscles in my esophagus work properly in about 30% of my swallows. It's caused me to have horrible GERD and esophageal spasms that feel like heart attacks. I've already been told I'll have to have surgery for it someday, and honestly look forward to it. It's all documented and I am fully vindicated. Great. But guess what? I developed pretty severe anxiety over that year, and can absolutely tell you I didn't have it before. It's difficult to accept that I have this. I don't want it. I didn't have it before, and I don't want to have it now. The things that make me anxious now were daily occurrences before this. I don't feel like myself anymore. I'm nervous and I worry. I am on edge more than I should be. I can be unjustifiably rude. I was always patient. I'm not patient anymore. I was calm. Not calm anymore. All of that to give you an answer. I'm not who I used to be and I am not who I want to be, and I am not sure I'll ever be free of this, and it's heavy. Sorry to rant. I am fucking stupid. If you ever feel stupid, remember there are anti-vax parents and flat earthers that don't think Australia exists, lol. We're all fucking stupid. That's the burden of being human. So I'll gladly be stupid with you. I have a hard time accepting when I am wrong sometimes, and it can affect others' outlook towards me. But I am working towards fixing that. I am an extremely insecure person, and that will tax any close relationships I am in. To weed, which seems like a joke compared to actual addicts of hard stuff. I've been trying to quit for 5 years, but I keep coming back. On the bright side, I quit cigarettes, party drugs like shrooms and booze, and binge eating unhealthy food. Combined with regularish exercise, I am now at a healthy weight with good muscle form, and I am still going. 4 or 5 vices conquered is cool, but I just have trouble admitting I am struggling on the one that should have been easiest. It seems to me you have done an amazing job so far. Every sort of addiction is hard to kick. Since you've come so far, it just takes a tiny step further to kick the last one. You can do it, bro. I am fat. I have only ever had crushes on my best friends. Only 2 NGL talk about being in the eternal friend zone. I don't know if this will help, but I am still best friends with the guy I've confessed to 8 years ago. Turns out he liked me too, but his self-esteem was so low he thought he wouldn't make a good boyfriend and rejected me, although I'd know the reason a year later. I was hurt, but I valued our friendship more than anything, and he also got over the awkwardness in a week or 2. We now both have long-term partners, been through other relationships too, we're inseparable, and have grown a pretty strong bond. If you're truly good friends, they'll value the relationship too much to kill it over feelings that are sadly not shared, but if they happen to feel the same, I can assure you that dating your best friend is the most beautiful experience ever, as my current partner got to be my friend first. Sparkles. I need constant reassurance. Wow. You are still with us. Thanks for being such a nice person. As long as you are here, why not like this video and subscribe to our channel? Also, you can press the bell icon, so you won't miss any future uploads.